Okay, so for today's deep dive, we're tackling a huge one, subscription fatigue. We've gone through the research to really map out how you move from just another monthly bill to something indispensable.
And it's a real crisis for so many companies because the problem isn't just financial, it's psychological.
Right.
There's this concept in behavioral economics, the death by 1,000 cuts. You, the user, you're trying to manage, 50 tiny charges a month, all the streaming, the apps. It creates this low-grade anxiety that, eventually leads to a purge.
The dreaded subscription audit, where everything gets sorted into need versus nice to have.
Exactly. And our mission here is to find the blueprint that moves your product out of that disposable pile and makes it a core growth asset.
So the first move, and this seems almost too simple, is just shifting from monthly to annual.
It sounds simple, but the math is just overwhelming. A monthly user makes a choice 12 times a year.
12 chances to churn.
12 moments of friction. An annual subscriber, they only make that decision once. And when you look at the cohort data, annual plans can have up to a 90% higher lifetime value. It's a massive psychological reset.
But hold on. If I get them locked in for a full year, haven't I already won? Why would being useful during that year be, dangerous?
Because that security only lasts for 365 days. If you're merely useful, you fall into what we call the utility trap.
Utility crap.
Yeah, it's when your product becomes a commodity. Think of a simple calendar app. It's useful, for sure, but it's competing with the free one already on their phone. Utility commands dependence, not loyalty. You're always just one cheaper competitor away from being replaced.
So the goal isn't just usefulness, it's uniqueness. You have to shift from being a tool to being a proprietary blueprint they can't get anywhere else.
You've got it. That's the whole idea behind the unique mechanism. If you sell task management software, you're just competing on features. But if you sell the deep work increment protocol, you own the entire methodology.
You've named the process.
You've named it. I saw a fitness coach who went from selling the 12-week shred to the kinetic symmetry path. Same product, different name. Conversion rate doubled. That name is your moat.
Okay, that makes sense for getting them in. But what about the behavioral side, the psychological lock-in? I think that brings us to the endowment effect, right?
It does. You have to design the entire product for a feeling of ownership. We value things way more just because we own them.
And for a digital product, that ownership comes from accumulated assets.
Yes. All the data they've generated, their workout history, their learning streaks, those complex templates they saved. That user with the fitness app doesn't just have an app. They own 300 hours of tracked effort. That's the asset.
That's so powerful. Because when they think about canceling, you're not framing it as the $100 they'll save.
You're showing them the years of progress and accumulated work they will lose. And loss aversion as a psychological force is about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gain.
So how do you actually, make that loss feel real?
This is the most critical, actionable step, the 11th month protocol.
Okay.
The battle for renewal is won or lost long before the bill is due. So you need to go set a reminder right now to deploy a value realization sequence 30 days before that annual charge hits.
So you're not just sending an invoice, you're sending them a personalized year-in review.
A beautiful visual report. Show them you completed 14 modules, you collaborated on 45 projects, you make all that invisible value they got throughout the year suddenly crystal clear, you preempt the audit.
It becomes an active partnership, not just some passive charge they forgot about.
Exactly. The era of passive recurring revenue is basically dead. You have to actively engineer that commitment.
So the final thought here, the big takeaway for the future.
It's this. Your product, the features, the content, that might all become obsolete one day. Technology changes, but the community, the relationships built around it, that can be forever.
So the question to leave our listeners with is,
ask yourself, if your user cancels, do they just lose a tool? Or do they lose a piece of their identity? That's why you really need to be researching community as a defensible moat. Because if canceling feels like an identity crisis,